welcome to the Life Career Roadmap YouTube channel. And today with my special guest, Naresh Gabriel. So Naresh, did I say your name right?
Oh, you sure did. You sure did, Seema. Thank you,
Oh,
Naresh. I always say nourish with Naresh. Same, same.
okay. So Naresh, welcome to our YouTube channel here. And I would like to ask you the two first questions is where you come from and what's your professional background?
Yeah, thank you. Before I answer that, Seema, thank you for having me on your channel. Love the work that you're doing and the vision that you have with Life Career Roadmap. I think it's going to inspire so many people. And good job on starting this.
Here,
Firstly, thank you for having me. Well, where am I from? I was born and raised in Singapore, and I moved over to Perth, Australia with my family, my wife and two kids, in 2019. So it's been almost 9 years now. And what do I do for a living? Or what do I not do for a living? That's what everyone asks me what I do. I've had my finger in many pies. So yeah, currently I'm in renewable energy, and my partner and I, we run a family law firm together.
okay, wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. So, being in Singapore, when was the first time that you thought, um, I want to move to somewhere else? Was there a thought, a
Yeah.
desire? Was Australia your first option?
Well, ever since as being a kid in Singapore, I never felt at home, even though I was born and raised in Singapore. It was, I'm not sure if you've been to Singapore, your probably your watchers, your subscribers. Not sure if you've been to Singapore. It's a beautiful country, don't get me wrong. But if you are the minority over there, as I am, opportunities are not as open. That's one. Secondly, there's a little bit of segregation of the people as well. So, look, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful country, amazing people, but there's systemic issues in Singapore. So, growing up, when I was about maybe my teenager years, especially after serving the army, I decided that Singapore's not for me. And once I had kids, there was the even a bigger I say push for me to raise my kids outside of Singapore in terms of the mental health and the stresses and the go rush attitude in Singapore. Just wanted to give them a different pace in life and a different experience than what I experienced or my wife has experienced in Singapore.
Okay, so
Yeah.
um, have you your parents were they born in Singapore or they moved to Singapore? So how many generations have you been
Wow.
in Singapore or your family?
Well, I think my parents are I'm second gen. I don't know how to answer that question. I always struggle with that. So my grandparents were from Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
and they moved over during the war to Singapore. So both my parents were born and raised in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
So then followed by, so I guess third generation. Singapore is a young nation. They're only 50 odd years old. So, that really it showcased what my great grandparents, I believe they are from India, some say from Portugal. So there's a bit of a mixed heritage going on with me as well. So yeah, so correct. That's
So
it.
a family of migration, right? So
Migrants, yeah.
like my family comes from the same situation. Like I really don't know everything about all the generations that migrate to different places. I just know like my parents and my grandparents that migrate to in different times of their lives, and I migrate too. So and then let's say you said was the struggles that you had in Singapore for being the minority. So what kind of struggles would you be like keen to say?
Open to share. Well,
Yes.
I'm more than happy to share one. In fact, that one incident that made me think and made me start thinking about my position or my place in Singapore was right after the army. So in Singapore, as you know, it's a it's a multicultural, multinational country where you've got the Chinese, the Malays, the Indians, and Eurasians and the others, right? So it's a melting pot. And being in a melting pot and growing up, you can speak your native language. For
Yes.
me, which is Tamil. We speak English as our first language in Singapore, followed by the national language of Singapore. Interesting enough, is actually Malay
Mm.
because we were part of Malaya. And I'm going around and Chinese. So the majority of people in Singapore are the Chinese. So one experience is I'm able to speak all four languages, so English, Malay, Tamil, and Mandarin.
Mm.
I saw a job opportunity for a shipping company. This was right after the army. And I was like, hey, I saw the job title and they said Mandarin speaking preferred, or was it Chinese speaking preferred, one of those. So I applied, went in for a job. And on my official documents, my name is Nicholas Gabriel, because that was my Christian name and all official documents my parents gave me. So I rocked up in a room of being the only non-Chinese person in the room. When my name was called up, the guy looked at me up and down. He was like, Nicholas? I was like, yes. Very white person name for a brown guy. Let's put it that way. No, I don't. I mean, there's all fun and joys, but well, when I got in the room, he started having a conversation with me, and he said, "Can you speak Mandarin?" I was like, "Yeah." So I basically went in full Mandarin, having a full conversation with him. Had a good half an hour interview. Walked out. Then he told me, "I don't think this will be a good fit for you." I was like, "Why?" "Oh, because culturally, you're not Chinese, and you will not be able to blend in." So I felt my heart drop. There was something in my heart just went, wow, what are you trying to say? And I mean, growing up, we came from very systemic racism where people would make fun of my color of my skin, ask me, Nick, don't you shower? Don't you scrub yourself clean? I was like, no, you don't smell like an Indian. And so why are you so dark? Because my mom's quite fair. They go, oh, are you adopted? Why is your mom so fair and you're so dark? All these questions and things like this. And I didn't take it back then as a kid. I thought I would laugh about it. We'll make fun, we'll make racist remarks to our own self without
Mhm.
knowing that we was racist and discriminatory for ourselves. But that was a changing point for me because I felt, wait a minute, you're telling me even though I can be Singaporean, being able to be multicultural and all, it's the culture that sets me aside from everyone. I'm not included. So that was back in 2000, so it was about 20 years ago, 22 years ago. I believe a lot has changed in Singapore. They're trying to be more inclusive. But that was the big thing for me to say, this is
Oh,
not for me. Yeah.
that's like a very
I know we're jumping straight into a very deep, heavy subject, but
that's fine. Let's do it. And I'm just like I'm very curious. Now I will go back to the time
yeah.
when you were growing up and deciding about what you want to do when you grow up. Is the question that
Mm,
everyone asks us, right? So what did you have in mind regarding future career? Because
career.
I'm going to the army. So let's go back before army. What you had in front of you or behind scenes that would set you to do something? Was because your family wanted you to do something or pursue a career in certain professions, or you had the curiosity for learning about something else? So tell us more about how your career choice that time came to you.
Wow. That's going to surprise a lot of people. I was not a academic person at all. I was a horrible kid now in academic studies. I only completed high school here in Singapore, there in Singapore. And only recently, a bit of a disclaimer pass forward, I realized that I have ADHD and dyslexia,
Mm.
which gave me a very clear understanding of why I struggled in school. Growing up as a kid, I've always wanted to be a pilot, always thought a fighter pilot, watching Top Gun and all the airplane movies, and I've always been fascinated with airplanes. So I always want to be a pilot, but my grades weren't good enough and never really got me there. So after high school, I worked in bars. I worked some odd jobs here and there. And then as a Singaporean male, you need to serve the national service. So I was in the national service, and I wanted to sign on, which I did for a year. I was in the additional military service for additional year. I came out because I realized that military is not for me, and there's so much more than just serving your country. Then when I came out, I got into life insurance finance because my dad was in that business, so he roped me into the business where same thing, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I made something out of it. Then branched out, I broke away, started, exploring. My mind went crazy. I always think of greater ideas. So I went into marine insurance and marine financing, then started off my own little finance brokerage firm. And from there, I got poached to a large multinational insurance company, which was out of the blue, my first corporate job. And yeah, I was there for a while until I decided to pack up and come to Australia. So
And that
very
was,
different from what I wanted to be.
and in between, you got married and got kids.
In between, I got married, I got kids. I was trying to be me. It was a blur. I mean, to be fair, the last 20 years of my life, I think it's really passed really fast. Now that I'm reflecting at it, there's definitely regrets. I wish I did more. I saved more. I wish I planned my life a little bit more. But hey, you live and you learn, and you can just only learn from experience, and you get better. So
That's right.
yeah,
So, and then decide packing up and coming to Australia. So it was a
yeah.
decision made by the family. Let's move on, right? So how was the experience of touching down here, the Aussie land, and seeing this beautiful country in front of you? What was your expectation and what you got?
So Australia is so my wife and I we've always loved Australia. We've traveled individually to Australia. We've came here. We visited together. This was with our first child in the little oven when she was about to come out. We went to Melbourne and we turned around and said, you know what, we could actually live here. So we went back. Pfizer decided that she could move her practice. I mean, she was doing really well. She was a lawyer, so she was the big boss in a way, doing really well in Singapore. We decided, you know what, let's plan our move. So when we had Sophie, when she was about 3 years old, we applied for the PR, and we realized that Pfizer needs to requalify and everything. So we were like, okay, that Australian team, we're chasing it from Singapore. 2 years on, when she was 5 years old, we got the PR. We moved within 2 months. So when we got this PR in September, we moved and we packed up our whole lives, and we were here in Australia in December. Then
Oh my
3 months time.
Christmas.
Christmas Day, yeah. So for us, and we believe in one thing, right? If it's meant for you, everything will smooth. The doors will just open up. The lights will just be green for you to just walk right through. Touching down to Australia, especially to Perth. Why Perth was same time zone as Singapore. It's 5 hours away from Singapore. It's close to our families, and we love the beach. Well, the beautiful beaches in the world in Western Australia. The land was beautiful. It's so nourishing. We've got so much of humanity. We have so much of benefits. In a way where our daughter was born with a heart condition. Our youngest daughter was born with a heart condition. In Singapore, she was not covered by any form of private insurance and stuff. Australia welcomed her and got her to be covered under Medicare, which was for us. It's for the kids. We want to give them a better life, and the fact that here they gave her a chance to be who she wants to be at a much affordable cost was a no-brainer. So I'm very, very grateful for Australia, for its people, for its traditional owners, for the landowners, and everything that has built Australia to where it is today. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. I went around, but
I would like to know, it was the oh, you are. The thing is, I want to know if transitioning very quickly to Australia, right? It was a plan 2 years and you got your
Yeah.
car and then coming quickly to Perth and having the great things that we have here in Australia. At any moment, did you feel that you were not part of this or feel that any cultural clash as well in
Mm.
Australia compared to what you had in Singapore?
Short answer, no. Our family felt very much at home from day dot over here. Yes, there were some struggles in terms of our experiences in our past careers over here. They looked at us being outside of Australia and they keep telling us we do not have local experience, which always bugs my mind. What do you mean local experience if you don't have the sets and tools and resources to do well in your careers? Pfizer had to re-qualify as a lawyer, start, even though she was an associate director for a big law firm in Singapore, she had to start from the bottom as a fresh graduate lawyer. 15 years of experience has went out the door. And funny thing is, it's the same Commonwealth law as well, which is
That's
very interesting.
right.
Even for myself, being in finance, coming in, same thing, very different. It's like, oh, you don't have local market, and me being a people's person, being able to talk to anyone and make friends with anyone, I was like, no, it's fine. And that was, I guess, the only issues. The other thing, I guess, was trying to make new friends. It was hard. I didn't really have much of an Australian accent, I would say. I was still very like, speaking my Singlish. Okay lah, no problem, let's go. Pronouncing like, struggling with pronunciation of certain Australian sounding words or English as well, like, I mean, English in Singapore is different. I mean, it's the same language, but spoken very differently in two
Differently,
different
yes.
countries. With the
That's right.
pronunciation, I get laughed at every now and then, but but I didn't take it too hard. I've never once had a racist how to say remark or unfair equal opportunity that I had in Singapore. So that was beautiful to experience that, and it has been beautiful. Tough. I mean, everywhere has its challenges, of course. There are different set of challenges everywhere, but yeah, the transition has been, thankfully, I mean, we're blessed. It has been relatively smooth.
Yes,
Yeah.
great. Great to hear. So your wife had to retrain. So did she have to do the whole course or the complementary units that she didn't have in Singapore?
A
Was it?
couple of modules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of modules that she had to retrain. So yeah, it still took her almost 2 years because,
Yeah.
we were still working in Singapore and managing a family and, a lot of sacrifice. I mean, it really, my head's down to her and she should be on this call. In fact, I always say that,
I
maybe
need to
the
get
next,
her here. So
you need
next
to get her.
time.
Yes, the next one, you should get her. You should listen to her story.
Yeah.
She's a
Yes,
bit of
that's
a,
true.
I,
So, and for you guys, how long took you to get a job? So, Faiza was studying and looking after the kids, getting her pass away uh, to the employment or to back to her career, reconnecting with her career. And for you, how long took you to get your first job? What was the
mm.
first job, and what happened after that?
So for me, I was fortunate enough to get a very entry level role in credit insurance here in Australia. So I got the job prior to moving. So it was through my past connections with because I used to work for a big multinational company,
Mhm.
and they were able to refer me on to Perth-based company which they work with, and I had relationships with them as well. So that was quite a bit easy timing. It went in, and they were like, "Yep, perfect. We're looking for someone. Come and join us." So I got that. What was unfortunate for Pfizer, and that really affected her mental health and her struggles as well, was we are both, we both came in. Pfizer took at least 6 months before she could find a job, and it was tough on her because in our heads we were thinking, oh, she's an associate director in a big law firm in Singapore, coming to Perth, she'll be snapped up,
Yes.
but it wasn't the case. So, we still had to, change in our family dynamics as well because we are both very hands-on parents. I mean, I'm quite domesticated. I do the housework, I do
That's
laundry, and I
good.
cook. I love cooking. I'm the chef at the house. So it was really
Wonderful.
much of a it was a bit of a change because I was working for a firm which had a very um traditional, I would say, how do I put it politely and politically correct? Traditional mindset firm where, I told them, look, in the mornings, because we only had one car, I need to drop the kids to school, and I can only be in the office by 8:45. I can't be there at 8:30. I was told that this the role of a wife and she should be doing it. Why are you doing it? So I
Oh,
was a bit like,
really? This is Australia.
yeah. So that was. I mean, look, and I think it's that individual, not
The
the
organization.
rep. It's not the representation of the majority of people. It was just that one
Right.
unfortunate 1% I had to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's the only time I had to deal with because, I always felt that Australian films are so family orientated and supportive. If you need to communicate, and that was what I was told. If you communicate with them, share your struggles or your challenges, people are willing to accommodate you. I mean, of course, there's a give and take. You can't be taking all the time.
Yes.
So yes, and I also told him, look, I'm willing to take a half-hour lunch or a 15-minute lunch. I'm happy to leave early and do that. He said, no, no, you can't do that. It doesn't look good on what you're trying to do. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, it was a struggle. Everyone was doing. So by the time Pfizer found a job, um, and she had to start a job which was very, very low paying for a lawyer. It was a bit of an ego hit, and it affected our mental health, affected our family finances, coming from what we used to earn in Singapore to what we were earning here. We owned a house in Singapore, but we had to sell it. We started renting over here. Um, well, we're still renting, nothing wrong about that, but it was challenging because it was just a mindset thing, or just not a house. We can't put up our photos,
Yeah, the frames
every
that
three
have, you have.
every 3 months, someone's coming in and telling us our shower screens are all cloggy. You're not cleaning your shower screen. We always have this big laugh. Why is the shower screen always dirty? We scrub and scrub and scrub. We can't remove the stains.
What?
Yeah, it's like what's going on? Um, but I guess through adversity, what we've learned is to never give up. Yes, it was hard. It affected our relationship as well because there are days where she was stressed. She was going through her own struggles, and mental health was something that we were not aware of. So the only reason is I wasn't aware that she was going through a mental. I wasn't aware I was going through mental breakdown or a depression or whatever because in Singapore we always say, oh, if you're not feeling it, drink a bit of water, have Panadol, get on,
Oh, yeah, move
keep
on.
going, move on, and but we failed to realize, and that also caused a bit of friction within our relationship. It wasn't easy, new country, no help, just the four of us. Yeah, it that was, I would say, the challenge that we went through more than anything else.
Yeah, so you touched two things that now I would like to explore more. One, not explore much, but it's just explaining that many people come to Australia thinking that everything works pretty well, people are very nice, but we must remember that we are people, and people are everywhere, and we are people that are different, have different ideas, different ways of thinking, different of perceptions, right? So coming to Australia and going to a workplace, you can find people like the one you find. That some people who are there just to do the 9 to 5. They're not there to really contribute, but just to tick the box,
Toolbox.
and they're not making your life easy. No way. It's not. They if they want to make you do things, that you do everything. So and people, sometimes new migrants or even migrants that never got a job, when they get a job and they think about, I just need a job, right?
Yeah.
And when I tell them, where are you at and where are you going to, you need to know what really is important to you, because the desperation of getting a job and find that job, that you encounter someone like the person that you met before, that doesn't make the life easy. And with all the other things that you have in your life, that job can break you,
Mm.
especially mentally. And you can have a bad experience. You can start seeing Australia through a lens of racism, people don't like me, or people are all the same. And it's not the case, right? It's the question of how you navigate the system and understanding that people, they're different and they're everywhere. Right. So that's one thing that I'd like to thank you for bringing this up, because not many people want to talk about.
No, yeah.
And the second thing is the mental health, because the migration per se is a very big thing in our lives. Takes a lot of energy, well-being, right? So you need to have this energy to continue moving forward, because there are so many things that you need to deal with. And before you come in and you have this idea that the green land, the best place, the
Grass is greener, so on the other
yeah,
side.
the
Yep.
honeymoon, and the honeymoon
Yeah.
goes away as soon you get the first bill to pay, and then realize, hey, this is life, right? And it's different because you don't have network to support you. So when you show it, also having a network that could support you even before you come to Australia was crucial for you.
100%.
Yeah, so it's something that we can do before we come. But now let's go dive a little bit deeper into the mental health. So you mentioned about the struggles you and your wife went through. So, and not realizing that moment, or that you were going through a mental health situation. So could you share with us, how did you realize that your mental health and the attraction in your relationship was a big thing related to decision that you made of migrating to the new country, and the expectations before and the reality after?
That's no, thank you for sharing more on those points as well. You're absolutely right. You need to have a network. And I think moving forward to your question, if we had planned properly, looking for communities over here that we can get support from, childcare, for example. Just giving one example, putting our kids into childcare. We didn't know. We didn't know that it was going to be so expensive. That's one. And secondly, coming from an Asian background, where, it's very pride orientated. We take a lot of pride and ego. We have a lot of ego. I'm sure many cultures we have that ego, especially if you're male, you're coming in from, a middle class family. We don't want to ask for help. We can take it on ourselves, and we took that pressure on, and not wanting to ask for help. We didn't know that there was support for in family income support. We didn't know there was such things. We didn't know there was Centrelink. Only after earning, and when both of us had jobs and things somewhat stabilized, we were told that, oh, didn't you ask for support and help? I was like, was there support and help? Yeah, there's rent assist, there's this assist, there's that assist. You could have gotten rebates for your childcare. They were like, what? So it was a bit of a,
Too
I
late.
was like, too late. What? Where's all this money? Can we do a backdated claim? I think we did eventually did a backdate something. One of our tax accountant managed to do some assistance, and to showcase what our income was, and we were able to get some. But prior to that, we would have been able to get more if we had a network, a community that really supported us. Our mental health, like I said, we weren't aware of it. We weren't aware of it. We just got up. Pfizer was working with same thing. She had her own, when you eventually get a chance to speak to her, she had her own challenges with her employer, who was sending her up and down, driving here, driving there. We lived in Morley. She drove to Joondalup. She drove to Gosnell. She would come back. She'd go to Fremantle. There was no transportation cover, and she was doing all this, and every day was a juggle, and we all had fights. I'll go, I've got a client meeting, she's got a client meeting. What happened to the kids? Then we'll be grumpy and come back home. I'll be like, oh, I'm tired, she's tired. And we ended up like eating unhealthy because I stopped cooking. I would just go buy McDonald's because it's cheaper. Um, and the kids were also like, we weren't spending enough time. And if we look back, we go, wait a minute, why are we here?
Yes.
We thought
Yes.
right? We go, wait a minute, this can't be it. We are fighting, we are unhappy. We used to have support. We could back in Singapore we had our parents, the grandparents of the kids was able to pick the girls up from school. We will have home cooked food. We know everything is safe, but we hit that, and this was so late. This was just before COVID.
Wow, it took a long time for you guys to get to the point to realize there was
Yep.
something behind scenes.
Yes. So because we were that people where let's get on with it. Get on with it. This is what we need to do. We had that dream that okay, we're gonna save up money, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do we looked at the long game. We just said, let's grind. So during that period when I realized, wait a minute, we need to start. This is not right. We need community around us. We need people around us. And then I started, with the basic friends that we've had. We started meeting, local business owners, local people in the community. I had crazy ideas, and when COVID started, I lost my job.
Mhm.
That was one because I moved around. I was with a bank, and I moved around. And COVID started, I lost my job, and Pfizer had to, not go into the office and work from home. We went, okay, what's going on? So I started this project called Mr. Morley, built a friend base trying to support migrants who are in the Morley community because Morley had the big migrant community, trying to showcase the businesses in Morley and the migrant businesses in Morley as well because it's so many Asian. I felt at home in Morley because all the Asian food. Um, and and when we were there, we started the Chamber of Commerce, and then we rallied up friends and people, and we started having a bit of a network. And at the same time, Faza as well, we were at home in our spare office. She had to use her own computer, own internet, own mobile phone, and setting the billable targets as a lawyer. And then we looked, why are we doing this all on our own cost and we are earning money for the boss? Why don't we start something our own? So that was a little light bulb moment which came up and we go and we asked, if we start become our own boss, we don't need to worry about childcare. We can bring the kids to work. We can leave when we want. We have that flexibility. We weighed up the concerns. Yeah, we might not earn enough, but there is definitely support. And now that we understand we've got friends who can help us. If we need support, we can ask for help. We have accountant friends who is able to tell us, or if you start a business, you might be on low income, then you can get, some Centrelink benefits and support to tie you up until your business starts going. We were like, this country has got resources to help people be innovative and to be entrepreneurs. Why don't we use it? If we're not using it, we're not making the best out of it. It's a disservice to us as well. So we changed our mindset. And at the same time, we realized that mental health was a big thing. And we went, there is support for mental health. We could speak to our GP about mental health. And there is,
Yes.
rebate sessions where you can give like mental health care plans, and it's a subsidy for it. And we're like, why are we not, we can talk to each other, but at the same time, certain things we need someone to help us break down even deeper. So suddenly everything became clearer of why we were here. So from being, you know, angry about being here, regret, then we look, wait a minute, we were not using the support that is already here to grow, to take the next step forward of development and growth. So yeah, I think that answers your question, and then now moving forward, we were like,
Yeah.
there is help.
Needs help. And it's very interesting. So this conversation has many interesting points here, right? Because when you mentioned that realizing that you're not having access or not enjoying the life that you were looking for when you came to Australia. So that's what I call the second class citizen syndrome.
Mm,
We come to a new country expecting a better life, having this, especially here in Australia, right? A first world country. And then
mm,
suddenly we realize that we are living as a second class citizen.
mm.
And then it's worse than you had before back home. How come? How can we let ourselves go in that kind of hole and not perceiving the trajectory that we are doing? And that's why I said the consciousness of being knowing where you are at and where you are going. too, right? Because you need to be very conscious about where you're at and what is around you that can support you. Otherwise, it's just expecting things to happen and working more and more and more, but not having the quality of life
Yep.
that you
Yep.
came here to have. So it's beautiful that you touch that, because it's what I see when I work with newcomers, the same thing. And,
Mm.
and the fear of not being able to make it,
Yes.
right? And the regret about the decision that they made before, and feeling ashamed for having that kind of life they're having, not being able to really explore and enjoy the life that they're supposed to have.
Correct.
So and then you got the support also for your mental health, for the business. And then when I met you before, was exactly believe when I believe you guys got your firm.
Yes.
Yes,
Lighthouse
you
Legal.
got your
Yes.
firm, and then you told me about, and it's a family law firm.
Yes.
So, and then how is for you guys? You working as helping your wife and working together to get this business ahead. So, what were the struggles that you faced, despite of all the support that you have in the business community, to
Mm.
break the mold and be working in a very specific field that is a challenge in Australia for newcomers?
Wow. So like I mentioned, Pfizer, we started the firm in our back office, back home, like a little spare room that we have at the back. And that within 3 months, we try to get an identity. We call ourselves Lighthouse Legal because we wanted to be that guiding light to anyone who was going through stormy waters and dark times, and to show them that, follow us, through this light, and you will get you into solid, even ground where you can be supported and you can feel safe. That was our mission, and that's the reason why we started or named ourselves Lighthouse Legal. And with family law, we also wanted to be different because understanding the family law industry, there were lawyers who were just charging an arm and a leg. Many people were not seeking legal advice, especially immigrants as well. We come from certain countries, or even culturally and religiously, that separation and divorce is a sin. That's huge. There's actually a statistical report out there which showcase the different countries, which I'm not going to name. I mean, go and do your research, that getting divorced is actually a criminal offense and you could be, punished, which I was like, wow. I mean, how? Then that opened up to domestic abuse, violence against women, men, children, and we all of that. And looking into Australia as well, there were children not being represented in separations. We were seeing men struggling with being um, showcased as the aggressor, but actually they're not, and women at the same time also. So there's so many facets of family law. It's not just one. So it was quite exciting. Pfizer is really good at what she does. We decided also that we want to be that firm which is going to help people separate with kindness, with confidence, and with dignity. We do not want people to be fighting and trying to go for revenge and hate and stuff. We want to do it with love. You fall in love and you come together. You fall apart from love, but you love and respect each other and separate. So conscious decoupling. So with that vision in mind, Lighthouse was formed. We are the first law firm as well to incorporate mental health, because unlike other facets of law, family law is a lot of emotions involved. You've got, people who are sad, and emotional. Of course, it's sad and emotional. People who are not able to share the experiences. Men, as is all known, men, we tend to keep a lot of our struggles inside. We do not talk to anyone. And that's why, rates of men suicide is high. And then, sometimes, and you look at violence against women as well, because men just keep it within themselves, and one day they explode. They don't know how to control themselves, and they don't have the tools and resources or the support, and then they commit crimes and offenses against women, which is technically it's not, maybe not them, but so many underlying issues that needed to be addressed. So how, and a lot of them arises from family law as well. And the court systems were chalked up. People had to wait for time. So we wanted to find a solution where let's settle our clients outside of court. Let's do through mediation. Let's talk about it. So I'm very proud to say that we are in business. We've been in business for 3.5 years. And today, as we are taking this call, I'm going to show you, this is our new office. We've just moved into our new office today. So you can see all my stuff over here. So we have grown.
Those guys.
Um, yeah, so we've grown from just Pfizer and myself and the admin staff. We've now got another lawyer. We've got two admin. We've got an intern. We are hiring another lawyer. The firm is growing. So it has been challenging, but I guess different set of challenges now because our vision is clear. We want to help and we want to pay it forward to those who have helped us and giving back to community. Yes, at the same time, who says community work doesn't need to be for profit? It can be for profit for a good cause.
Of course.
So
Yes.
yeah, so
And
and
the name not for profit need to go away because you need profit to be profitable to be able to serve in that situation. Is not using the money to put in your pocket and live your life, but you need money.
absolutely
So it's a little bit
correct.
of not a lot of misunderstanding in that.
There's
So
a lot of misunderstanding of that. I always tell these people, you need money to make difference. At the end of the day, you can't take money out of the equation. Yes, there's certain things you can do without money, but most of it has money. I mean, money, use it for good.
yes,
Use it to return back. I mean,
money
there's
is
enough.
beautiful.
Money is beautiful. I
It's
don't think money
beautiful.
is wrong.
I
I
love
think
money.
that there's too much money out there, which is being used for wrong things, as we all know. Let's start using the money for good things and making differences in people's life. So that's where we are.
That's right. So I am so glad to hear the approach that your company has regarding mental health. And as you know, I have been working with mental health for so long, and because I went through situations that my mental health was so like completely destroyed, and I had to recover and bring myself to where I am today. And that's why I dedicate my life to help others to understand the power that they have in their mind when they have the mindset that they have to grow, that to be able to grow. And it's very easy for us to go towards the negative thoughts and be trapped inside of these negative emotions, especially during the divorce. It's
Yeah,
you have like a lot of anger, right? And you have also the people feel guilty for something and or sad or fearful about the future, and sometimes they stay in a relationship it's not good for them, not good for the kids because of the fear of the future instead of just having the conversation. And most of the
correct.
times, people also want to be in a position unconsciously. They want to be in a position of victim because people give them
Mm,
attention or they feel they are supported in that situation. And moving away from that situation requires being responsible. The next step, and it takes a lot. And for me, I remember people that came to me to support me, and I thank them for that. But my life changed when I was confronted by someone who told, hey, that's it, what you can do from now on to change this,
yes,
right?
yes.
And
And
that
and you
conversation.
correct. And you're right. You nailed it on the head. We work closely with our partners, Happiness Co, who basically is that person who just came to you and said, enough, let's make a difference. Let's turn it around because, it's time to make good choices.
Yeah.
Trying to start thinking differently. So, we've got amazing support from our partners, Julian Pace and Robbie and Danielle and the guys in Happiness Co. When we get them, we send our clients over to them. And what they do is they speak to our clients for over 3 sessions about what's going on in your mind, what's happening with you, what are your fears, what's your concern, and helping them move away, see beyond that, like you said, the victim mentality or the aggressive mentality or the fear, helping to break down the fear and say, what are you really afraid of? Isn't this a good thing? Trying to change their their views on things and helping them, adapt positive activities in their life to make their life better. Because at the end of the day, lawyers, even though we are mental health first aid trained, this was also part of Happiness Grows program with us. We are able to see any one of our clients who go through a mental breakdown or anxiety breakdown. We're able to assist them. But as lawyers, they're not mental health trained to
Yes.
be able to be psychologists. They're lawyers. They're here for the legal side. So we needed to work with good partners. And at the same time, going back to our main conversation, is building a community around you in times of need and support. So you're 100% right, Sema. It's so important to have the right person to come and snap the fingers and say, wake up,
Wake
enough
up.
is enough.
That's right. And then you
Yeah.
see things changing in life when the decision is made to really working on things that need to be worked on. And of course, leaving a relationship, it's a tough situation. And you went through the situation of being in the aggravation, moment of aggravation, and the moment that you start not thinking anymore and you're just reacting, and you never know when this can be the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's very important for us. That's why I say be conscious about what's going on. And even sometimes when you get into the situation, you have that kind of sign that you say, hey, something is going wrong here. We need to stop and reassess. Let's reassess this and see what we can do here to improve the situation, to change the situation. And like family law, it's huge, right? You have so many things involved, the custodians of the kids, assets, and the relationship, the trust that is not there anymore for some reason. And you need to address these situations to be able to see the future, right? And the decision, because making a decision based on fear or anger brings consequence that sometimes you can regret later on.
Correct. And I think one of the most important things, on your point there, making decisions based on fear and anger, people sometimes got to not look on the outside. They got to look from within. Where's that hurt? How can I heal that hurt? They need to start doing the work for themselves because it's just something, a few people have been saying, I hear if you know, hurt people, right? If they're offended, they're sad, they will hurt people. But if they start making the change to heal themselves, to get over the hurt and look at how we can change that, then they don't want to hurt people. I mean, like maybe they want in different ways, but this is the first step, right? The first step of being aware of what you're going through. And I think people need to put in the work. And by doing so, going back to the same thing, we need a community. There is a community, there is a support, there are supports for people to start working. There's so many sites out there, there's so many mental health organizations, there's there's self-help podcasts, people like yourself, sharing this kind of conversations out there, there is help. So
it is help. And sometimes it's difficult for people to think about that they need help, right? And they're
correct.
asking for help, ashamed for
Yes.
to ask for help. And also is the situation of seeing yourself as part of the community because you feel normally isolated. That is
Yes.
problem is just with you and as I said before, and you also mentioned there is a work to be done. And it's an everyday practice in life. It's not one magic pill that will solve your situation, your problem. It's like peeling the onion. Every time when you get a new layer, you will be like, oh my goodness, it's painful. Address the situation to be able to move on.
Yes.
Otherwise, you put under the rug and then pretend nothing's happening. And the next time, what happens is bigger, more painful, and you get even lost. Yeah. And
100%.
yeah.
You nailed it right. I love the analogy of onions. You're always crying when you're peeling it. Always crying.
That's right. And even though like you cook and I cook as well,
Yeah.
we know the techniques not to cry,
Yes, you
peeling
cry,
the onion, but
but it still
sometimes
happens.
it still happens. Sometimes it's stronger than others,
I'm
right?
like, well, yeah, correct.
Other days and yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah.
So, Naresh, now regarding your kids, that you said you want to give your kids an environment that they could thrive.
Mm.
How is that path for you now in Australia and having the different culture? Because they came here around 5 a.m.
5 and 3, yeah.
5 and 3. So a little, and they could immerse themselves in the new culture and be part of this culture, right? And what I see a lot with new families coming to a new country is the clash of generations and clash of cultures. So, how is this process for you with your kids adapting, integrating into the new culture here?
Wow. It's interesting that you said this. You bring this question up because not very long ago it was Deepavali.
Yeah. Mhm.
And ever since moving here, I wasn't very much, cultural in Singapore. But ever since moving to Australia, I started to um, start looking back at my culture. I wanted to cling on to whatever little I've got, hold on to it. Looking at all Australians, and it's like, okay, I see some Italian families. They're very cultural. I've got like, the Middle Eastern families, or the European families. So they're very culturally strong. Then when you look at Australians, they celebrate everything. They're amazing people, but there's no traditional culture per se, ethnic backgrounds and stuff. So I started becoming more in tune with my Indian ethnic background. I was telling my kids, girls, what are you? And they said, oh, I'm Australian. I said, no, no, no. Yes, you're Australian citizen, but what are you? They said, you're Indian, Faiza's Pakistani, and I'm Indian. You're Indian in essence. Do you speak the language? Because they're learning Italian in school. And I'm like, they don't speak the language anymore. I'm like, no, we need to hold on to curries. Who's going to cook your curries? Are you going to learn how to cook the curries from me? Who's
Daddy,
going to make
hi, Daddy, where's the
Yeah,
recipe?
I know. That's it. Where's the recipe? So, and even just the traditional events like Diwali or Deepavali or Eid, which Faiza's family's background is. I'm like, we don't hold on to it, or just also not pass it down. That's it. Not maybe not hold on to it is the right word. Pass it down and educate them about our different cultures, because they came to Australia where it's very modern, very Western. There's not much emphasis. There is emphasis on cultural settings and celebrations of multiculturalism, but you don't deep understand your own cultures as well. So if our girls, I'm 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 a bit in two worlds. One, I really love the fact that they are exploring different languages. In Australia, you're learning about so many things. The way they think in the education system is brilliant. They're expressing creativity in art form, in music, and in sports. You've got all that going on, which is amazing. But at the same time, on the other sense, I feel that they're losing their little brown baby syndromes. I call it. They're becoming really white, which is nothing wrong with it. But like I said, it's a bit, as a migrant myself, I'm like, oh no, eventually they're going to marry someone. Look, who knows whether they do or not. They're going to be partnered up with a non-Indian family or a non-Paki. They're gonna yeah, they're going to be muddled up. And where is that going to leave us? Where does our family generation last? Because, I start thinking about the future, which, you don't need to cause us anxiety and stress, but it's also that wishful thinking. I'm contradicting myself here, but I'm like, how is it going to be like? Are we all going to be Indians? What's going to mix up? They're going to go eat pasta, no more curries, no more special curries from me. Like, what's the deal?
And probably you have with them or to them the same ways as right? At a point in time, we want to connect with our history, where
Yeah,
we come from. And this is the time when you're teenagers and we'll explore the world. You want to be like the people that we walk with and play with. So, and they are immersed in the culture, right? Completely
yeah.
immersed right now. But at a point in time, I promise you, Naresh, they you come back.
You'll come back? Okay,
They you come
okay.
back.
I'll hold you on it. Okay, I'll put that.
They will come back. And they feel proud of. They feel proud and they will look for clues that they can connect the dots
Mm,
so that they are part of it, because you were born in Singapore and everything, but you feel as an Indian, like you have when you look at yourself and see as an Indian. So you have all this information that came through your family, your DNA. So
my
you were,
DNA. Yep.
yeah, so you were there, and for them it's the same. It's carrying on. You'll be diluted one day, maybe, but enough for them to have a history and remember that where they come from. Because I
Yeah.
always say to my mentees, we know where we come from, but where we are going to.
Yes.
That's the point. You can come back anytime.
Yep.
But going forward is something that you go or you come back. So
Come
it's
back.
the decision.
That's true.
But you can keep the memories. You can keep your culture. You don't need to leave your culture behind. But it's a blend. It's a beautiful blend that you get the best of both
Yeah.
worlds, right?
Thanks for giving me that confidence because, like I said, that was the big question mark. So that was my next, I guess, a next personal family challenge. I'm trying to understand where we're going with the girls, but it's beautiful. Otherwise, I mean, they're doing really well. I can't ask for more. They're well supported. They've got so many facets of opportunities that they have. And I couldn't have asked for more. I think they're thriving. They're thriving with their own friends and they're doing well. So let's see. Let's hope.
Yeah, I
They go
have
on
the
like this.
experience. Yeah, having my son is born in Australia, and a point in time he didn't want to speak Portuguese anymore, and I was teaching Portuguese. He was around, and even he didn't want to answer my questions in Portuguese. I continued speaking Portuguese, and then once he went to Brazil, and he wanted me to translate everything, and I said, no, you said you don't want to speak Portuguese, so now solve your life. You need to find a way of speaking
You
Portuguese.
speak Portuguese?
He went and learned. So
Oh,
nowadays,
beautiful.
he lives in Europe, and he has like in his profile, uh, Australia, Brazil, and now living in the Netherlands. So he put the two
Beautiful
together, and it's part of his culture, right? And what he put everything
identity.
together, and he takes everything what is the best for him, and that's it. So it's something that made my life much easier as a mom thinking about culture, right? So
Yeah,
culture, what
yeah,
comes up, and then of course, dating someone who has a very different cultural background and being able to navigate into that
yeah,
differences and similarities, because you have similarities in spite of
absolutely.
different
Yeah.
cultures. Yes. So Naresh, I'd like to ask you something. You say you cook the food that when you think about reminds you of childhood, the innocent
Oh,
moments of life.
food, you
Food,
mean?
yeah. Oh.
Well, well, for me, there's only one food. My daughters know. If there's one meal I can eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 365 days a week, that would be nasi lemak, which is
Yeah.
coconut rice with sambal with an egg. Simple, simple, but it's everything that you need. Yeah, I grew up with that, and nasi lemak is like amazing. Yeah, you can cook it easily. You can yeah, it's soul food. Soul food.
that,
That's childhood.
that days when say, I just need that.
I
So
just need that. And
yeah.
and the other one, which I always share, my daughters still don't understand. During the financial crisis growing up, 97, the Great Asian Financial Crisis and 2000s, when dad's business, didn't really do well. And at home, we had to cut back on food. It was quite bad. We felt it. We felt it. We used to eat white rice with soya sauce and cut red chili.
Oh, really?
If we were lucky, we would have a fried egg.
Mhm.
Until today, Sema, I eat that. When I go to shops, when the girls, I think I would just, or if I at home, I would just get white rice. I put soy sauce, cut red chili, and an egg. The girls look at me and they go, Dad, are we in a war? What's going on? I was like, look,
Oh,
it, it's food. It reminds me of where we come from. Going back to the same point, where we come from,
yes.
appreciating the simple joys. and we can live within our means. We don't need to be eating fancy every day. Sometimes the simple things nourishes you and at the same time reminds you of good times and bad times. You need to be reminded of bad times so that you can look forward and say, you know what it is, and you
Thank
can
you
move
for
forward in
that.
there.
It's the
Yeah.
process, right? And are you a recipe like reader or you cook intuitively?
Oh, I never follow instructions. I'm a rebel.
That's so wonderful.
Even my wife, she would say, "Why don't you just follow the recipe?" I said, "Nah, nah, nah. Needs a bit that." The only thing I struggle with, and my wife will do that whenever I cook. I'm um quite conservative with my salt. So she would, I would feel it's fine, but she would come in at the end, she'll put in salt. I completed the dish. So she'll claim credit for it. She made it better. So I said, look, you know what? The 2 hours I've been chopping and cutting and cooking, all you need to do is nothing, but you put
It's
salt.
a salt. That's so wonderful. So I am also intuitive when I cook, and like having the experience of exploring the unknown and come up with something, especially the food is it's wonderful when you have this freedom to create.
To express, yeah.
Yeah, it's expressed through food. So, Naresh, tell me one thing. So, before we finish here, I will stay here talking with you for a long time. But I know you have an appointment right now.
Yes, I do. I need to go off soon. Yeah.
So, what is your what advice would you give to someone who is here, looking to find their feet in this country, but could not find the right moment or the light bulb in front of them? What should they do?
Firstly, always tell yourself you are not alone. There are many who have come before you, many who are here like yourself in this beautiful country, finding their feet. You are not alone. All you need to do is two things. Be confident in yourself and who you are. Trust yourself and your capabilities. You are not unworthy. You are good enough. Even though you've got an accent, even though you're not, really good in English, get out there, make friends. People will love you for who you are. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. People in Australia, if they're right for you, they're right for you. They'll click, they'll support you. It's such a, Australia's got this saying, mates helping mates. It is that. It is so true. The thing is, they will not know your struggles until you share with them and ask for help. So firstly, don't be afraid. Go out there. Go in, even if you're a coffee drinker, go to your local coffee shop. Have a coffee. Talk to the barista. Sit down, have a drink. You see someone sitting beside you, have a chat with them. How's your day? Don't be afraid. Australians are happy to, in Singapore, I wouldn't do the same because when I talk to somebody, was like, why are you crazy? Why do you want to talk to me? But over here, people love a conversation and you never know. You might speak to someone who say, hey, wait a minute, didn't you know there's support for Centrelink? You could ask for help. I wish I asked that, or when you share your situation, someone might be able to give you help. Because at the end of the day, if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So first and foremost, be confident in yourself. You are great from where you are. You came from your own upbringings. You're bringing culture. You're adding spice to this beautiful country as well. You're making Australia what it is, which is a huge melting pot. If you look at the Australian national anthem, people come from far and broad. We make this place a beautiful place. So I would say, don't be afraid. Get out there, go play soccer, go play sports. There's so many clubs, there's so many things to you get yourself involved in. Build a community around you. That's my advice.
That's right. Thank you very much for that. So, Naresh, it was my pleasure. And for you watching this episode, I'm sure you found lots of inspiration here listening to Naresh life career journey. So remember to subscribe, to share this episode with someone who can benefit from it, and also like and leave your comments. So Naresh, thank you very much for that, and see you next.
See you so much. Yeah.
Bye.